The year is 2022, and Kirby's Dream Buffet was just released on the Nintendo Switch eShop. Just months after the release of Kirby and the Forgotten Land, HAL Laboratories started advertising Kirby's Dream Buffet. Just as quickly as it was advertised, it all of a sudden came out just then and there. Will this join the ranks of great Kirby spin-offs, or will it end the streak? Let's find out. Though I will not be giving the game a rating based off of its story, since it doesn't really have one, I do want to talk about how disappointing it is that I have to say that. We've been in quite the era of Kirby's story being very important. Even the Kirby spin-offs have had a good amount of story. Super Kirby Clash, Kirby's Blowout Blast, Kirby Fighters 2, Kirby's Epic Yarn, these are all Kirby spin-offs that have had great stories. Sure, they can be simplistic. Kirby's Blowout Blast story is just a retelling of Kirby's Dream Land, but it's still there. Here, there's nothing. The only bit of story we get is this intro cutscene that explains almost nothing. All we get is that Kirby goes to a dream restaurant and finds a cake to eat. He tries to eat it with the Dream Fork, then gets shrunk down, and boom, we're playing the games. It's super underwhelming, and honestly, I think we should be past having spin-offs without stories at this point. Again, I will not be giving the story a rating since it's non-existent. I just wanted to express my disappointment. The best way I can describe Kirby's Dream Buffet is that it is Kirby Fall Guys. With a multiplayer focus, this Kirby party game consists of 3 types of games. Competing in these games will award you fruit which you must have the most of by the end of the tourney in order to win. The first being a race. In a true monkey ball style race, you must get through the course as quickly as possible while collecting as much food as possible. There are different copy abilities you can get to help get through the stage more easily, usually being used to break barriers. Depending on what position you finish at depends on how much fruit you are awarded at the end of the race. The next game is Minigame. In this event, you must collect as many strawberries as possible. The player with the most strawberries wins the event. The third event is everyone's favorite game genre, Battle Royale. This mode is very similar to the previous, except instead of collecting new fruits from the environment, you must knock them out of your opponent. You must fight to the death, knock them off the stage, and avoid stage hazards in order to keep your fruit count up. I'm not gonna lie, this game doesn't really have a lot of substance to it. After playing through 3 tourneys, I noticed very quickly that I already saw everything this game has to offer. I kinda wish there was more variety to this game. It gets boring pretty quickly, but I don't see myself playing this game again anytime soon. With all that in mind, Kirby's Dream Buffet's gameplay gets my rating of a C+. The presentation in this game, though very visually interesting, lacks the variety to make certain stages stand out. I had to legitimately wonder if I was playing different stages or not because the level design and the visual aspects of each stage are so similar that it's honestly hard to tell. Also, and I'm going to try to explain this the best that I can, the way this game looks doesn't feel like Kirby. As weird as this is going to say, the land of giant vibrant foods doesn't fit with the rest of the Kirby aesthetic. Kirby's aesthetic is usually bright green fields, beaches, dreamlike fantasy worlds. Ironically, in a series about eating constantly, there isn't a lot of stages based around food. Even Gourmet Race kept the dreamlike fantasy aesthetic throughout. Honestly, this type of design feels more at home for a Mario-style game more so than Kirby. It feels very Luncheon Kingdom. The music is nothing of note either, just generic high-energy background music. I forgot it as soon as I heard it. With all of that in mind, Kirby's Dream Buffet's presentation gets my rating of a D. There is no completion to this game. The closest thing there is to completion is to obtain all 256 character traits, but there's really nothing to them. There's no special requirements, there's no in-game percentage tracker, nothing. All you have to do to get all of the character treats is just to keep playing the game over and over and over again until the game decides to give you them all. There really is no riveting way to go about this. I didn't even want to do it because I was done with this game after my first 5 tourneys. If there's no in-game percentage tracker, then there's no completion requirement. At this point in the Kirby franchise, being 30 years old at the time this was released, it's honestly disappointing to see a Kirby spinoff with so little effort put into it. There was no thought put into the story, there was barely any variety in its presentation, its gameplay gets old after a few playthroughs, and there's really no reward for the player to motivate them to keep playing. I really expect more out of a Kirby spinoff at this point. If Kirby Fighters 2 can be an amazing spinoff and have been developed exclusively during quarantine, this game has no excuse to be just as good. I hate to say it, but Kirby is better than this at this point. We're not in the era of Kirby's Pinball Land or Kirby's Block Ball anymore, and even those games had more substance. All in all, this game just feels pretty low effort and not worth the $15 it cost me. With all of that in mind, Kirby's Dream Buffet gets my overall rating of a C-. Not the worst game in the world, but just horribly bland. Thank you everyone so much for watching this video, and I hope you guys enjoy the new format of the retrospectives. If you like what you see, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell. All the social media are in the description below, so check them out as well. We also got merch in the description. Next week, we'll be looking at the next Kirby game in the lineup, Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe. But if you're too impatient to wait a week, you can become a channel member and watch it right now. I'm Bottles, and I bid you, my well-esteemed guests, adieu.